In this module, we're going to cover keyboard shortcuts. Now, keyboard shortcuts are really important to me. Keyboard shortcuts allow you to work at least 20 to 30% faster than using menu commands or buttons. And that means you're getting 20 to 30% more done. I think the real idea here is that we want to imagine something in our mind and be able to get that into the ArchiCAD system as fast as possible. And generally, using the keyboard is going to be the most efficient way. So let's look at where we find the information on the keyboard shortcuts. So here I go to Options, Work Environment, Keyboard Shortcuts, and lo and behold, I have a keyboard shortcut for this. It's Shift Insert. We'll use the command at this point since we already have that open. And that brings up this dialog box where we're able to run through and assign a command to anything that ArchiCAD can do. We can organize this by commands using the menu structure, which is often a convenient way to find something, by theme. Notice here the different themes, or alphabetical order. So the alphabetical order is going to give you a complete list just from A to Z. It really doesn't matter how you find the command. Once you do find the command that you want to assign, and let's go to one that I use often. Let's go to the line tool, and we'll go up to alphabetical order because that's the easiest way. It's going to be L for line. There's a line tool, and you'll see that L is the assignment. If we wanted to reassign this, we could just push a key here. Let's say we want to use W. Now W is already assigned to the wall tool. That's going to give you that feedback right away, and you can overwrite that or you can choose another one. Now obviously L for line makes a lot of sense, so we're going to leave it just the way it was. You'll go through and assign the keys that you're using often. Now I encourage you to take the time and do just that. If you find yourself using a command more often than not and having to hunt it down or find a button for it, go ahead and assign a keyboard shortcut. Now I've been using the program for a long time, and I've established some conventions that I find very important. One concept that's important to me is that we use as few key modifiers as possible, and the key modifiers are Shift, Control, and Alt. I want to be able to do single button commands without having to awkwardly contort my hand to push several buttons at a time. Now, there are some exceptions to that where I decide that a particular command isn't used as often, and so in that case, I don't mind having a modifier, and sometimes a modifier makes it a little easier to remember. But let's look through my list. So what's nice is that you can click that button here, it takes you to your browser. You can print this, it prints very nicely. And this is an accounting of all the shortcuts that are currently assigned. So as you make modifications to your shortcuts, you're going to find that this will be updated immediately, and you'll always have something that you can print out. I encourage the office to establish a standard so that when you go from one computer to another, you're not handicapped, because you'll find that if you're at a computer that doesn't have your shortcuts, it is very frustrating. If the entire office can be using the same setup, that really helps so that you can move around and not get too bogged down with trying to fumble with somebody else's computer or having to load in your own system. I'm going to close this. We'll get to some specific keys shortly. But in the meantime, I want to show you how to import these. There's one up here on the tree is shortcut schemes, and we can import, and we can hit the import button. And then we have to go to a particular directory, which is a little strange. Instead of selecting a file, we actually select a folder. And because of that, it's important to put your shortcut file into a shortcut folder, or you will not be able to find it. So that's something that is easy to stumble on. So here's my shortcuts 2018. I'll import it. I don't want to overwrite it because I've actually made a few changes, which is my nature. I'm constantly trying to improve it. So Actually, I did import it, and it's telling me that there's an older version and a newer version, and I want to go to my older version because that's the one I've been changing. This is the import date, not the creation date. So I'm going to just cancel out of this, but you would then want to, once this is in, select it and hit apply scheme, and those shortcuts are ready to go. Now, the importance of this is that you're not migrating around, looking through menus. And of course, there are things that you're going to look through menus for, but you want to do that as little as possible. I want to show you a few little tricks here. Here's the line settings. So this is under options. So these are actually settings. And you'll see that the system is giving you feedback. If I press the number 1, that's going, so that was the menu command, or I can push the keyboard number 1 and I'm gonna get the same place. And this is how to set up custom lines as an example. But there is some feedback here as to how things are signed. Q, something I use all the time, Q is going to show me the different layers and layer combinations. This is something I'm working on all the time. So that's simply using Q. Now, the point of this particular module is not to tell you what the commands are, but to show you how to set them up, how to find out what they are, and really encourage you to use these as often as possible. In the next module, we're going to be taking a look at actually how to create elements, and we're going to be using shortcuts and different things to enable that to move smoothly. See you in the next video.